Brahm tells Koda to run, but she only crawls back to a corner, terrified of Akutagawa. Akutagawa launches an attack on her. Kunikita is worried about Koda and is looking around for her with Tanizaki, but both get taken down by Fukuchi. Atsushi wakes up and wonders if it's the drug being given to him that's making him too weak to move his body. He struggles to get out of the trap when Teruko suddenly points her sword at his mask. Fukuchi thinks of how his comrades asked him to avenge their deaths on the battlefield. Fukuzawa and Rampo walk there, realizing Atsushi's call was indeed a trap. Fukuzawa questions Fukuchi's hand in his not being able to reach the detective agency members. Fukuchi reveals Kunikita and Tanizaki tied down with their hearts stopped and electrical pulses keeping them alive, so it won't take much for Fukuchi to kill them. As Fukuzawa walks towards Fukuchi, Rampo tries to reach out to Poe's booklet to trap Fukuchi in the novel world, restricting his powers. Before the booklet is retrieved from his pocket, Rampo's hand is pierced by a sword, and he is attacked by Fukuchi, earning him another detective agency hostage. Fukuzawa questions Fukuchi about what his real agenda is, since if he only wanted to destroy the state, he wouldn't have needed hostages. Fukuchi tells Fukuzawa to guess his real objective within 5 minutes. If he fails, the hostages die. Teruko uses one swift movement to cut open all the tapes and the mask from Atsushi. She then sighs, saying it was hard to torture someone who is neither a criminal nor a villain. She was told the truth by Fukuchi in the morning, just like Wano, and she decided to support Fukuchi. Now, she is trapped with Atsushi till Fukuchi is done with what his real aim is. Atsushi tells her he can stop the terrorists as he can see a sense of justice still present in her heart. Teruko flips the table in anger for his insistence on good and justice. She decides to tell him the real reason why Fukuchi is doing all this, and it's up to Atsushi to decide how to comprehend it. Fukuchi and Fukuzawa attack each other, striking their swords together. Fukuchi tells Fukuzawa can never win against his ability to see the future, but Fukuzawa dodges one of his space attacks and mentions knowing the past of 20 years with him. Fukuzawa attacks Fukuchi with the mention of knowing his sword just like his own. Fukuchi stops the attack with his hand reminding Fukuzawa that he refused to go to the battlefield, so he does not know the changed version of Fukuchi. A throwing knife charged with 100 times power is struck towards Fukuzawa. It not only injures him but passes through his body to destroy 3 trucks in a row. Fukuchi and Fukuzawa met as 2 kids enthusiastic about being swordsmen. As kids, Fukuzawa had challenged to take down Fukuchi alone, only for them to have a tie after the whole day. Loving the way of swords and the quality Fukuzawa carries, Fukuchi decides to learn swordsmanship alongside him. 13 years later, the two became elite swordsmen, but the silence and calmness of Fukuzawa made him famous as the statue with a wooden sword, even while being the best swordsman of his time. Fukuchi tells him he is going to the battlefield, but it's not death that he fears. He fears the trauma and challenges changing him into a different person. Fukuchi wholeheartedly asks Fukuzawa to tag along to keep him sane, but Fukuzawa considers battle a way of taking lives and politely refuses. So, as Fukuchi fights on the battlefield, Fukuzawa gets rid of the people of the state that have been causing wars, ending the war eventually. Fukuchi's fear turned true as he became a devil in conclusion to the wars. Atsushi seems troubled after hearing the real objective, thinking the detective agency wasn't aware of anything. Teruko opens the door, giving him a free way out. Fukuchi and Fukuzawa fight each other in full fervor, but Fukuchi has an advantage over Fukuzawa. Before killing Fukuzawa, he sends a message to the authorities to unlock the One Order within 5 minutes, or he makes the vampires attack the entire world all at once. The guy, who just like others, preached Fukuchi for being a savior, is appalled at the situation. Madly wanting to defy the truth, he tries to assume this is also one of Fukuchi's plans to save the world, but Fukuchi himself bursts his bubble of hope. With the final 5 minutes, Fukuchi turns to Fukuzawa. Fukuzawa gets up weakly ready to guess that Fukuchi is doing all this to avenge the comrades who were brutally tortured, starved, and killed in the battles by enemies as well as their higher-ups. He is also avenging Fukuzawa for betraying him and not tagging along to the battlefield. As Fukuzawa reaches up to Fukuchi, Fukuchi stabs Fukuzawa with his sword, announcing it as a wrong answer. Atsushi is having a hard time thinking of what right and wrong are by now when he visualizes all the detective agency members telling him one way or the other to not give up. Atsushi gets up and walks out to their president since he is too much of a fool to make a decision. Dazai tortures Sigma by continuously defeating him in games of rock, paper, and scissors. He later narrates it as the focus on one's wrist to comprehend what they are up to, as well as manipulating their moves by subtle signals. Sigma calls him a superhuman for single-handedly defeating Fyodor, but one question remains. Why did he choose Sigma? Being his usual self, Dazai messes around with Sigma but stops when Sigma gets emotional for not even being worth an explanation. Dazai tells Sigma there were two reasons. Since Sigma can get information from a fresh corpse, he needs to know the plans of Fyodor by his corpse. He needs to do so to save the detective agency at the airport, since they have been feeding him. Sigma is shocked at Dazai doing this all just for the safety of the detective agency. Sigma asks for the second reason. Dazai tells him Fyodor would have silenced him if he left him there. The two then enter a lift after Dazai funnily examines its circuitry. Sigma is amazed as he always wanted a home where he cannot be used by people in here. He witnessed for the first time people not using one another. Neither Dazai is using the agency, nor is the agency using Dazai. The lift suddenly halts with the girl apologizing for her life to someone. Koda remembers how karate was a sport connected to her heart, but for her father, it was just a way to improve her defensive skills. Even with achieving good merits, she was compared to her dead sister for lacking perfection. Koda wakes up with a deep breath, wondering where she is. She hears the voice of Brahm telling her to be careful or she'll fall. She looks around and hurriedly slides back, realizing she is near the edge of a building at a considerable height. Bram has been fixed down there to bait the detective agency members and attack them. Koda wonders why she was spared. Sigma and Dazai try to find a way out when Dazai feels something slippery on the walls of the elevator. He hurriedly pulls Sigma underwater with him. Sigma's confusion is cleared by the explosion on the surface of the water due to the transparent fuel on the walls. Sigma tries to shoot the door with his gun after Dazai points to it, but the method fails to work. As the fire dies down, Sigma is about to resurface to finally breathe when Dazai pulls him down again. It takes him a moment to realize that the fire used up all the oxygen, so the moment he breathes in the vacuum, he dies. Dazai messes with the wiring of the elevator while Sigma pushes the door open with all his might. The system then initiates the drop impact sequence for the intruder, not giving them the time to leave. As the elevator accelerates downwards, Dazai fulfills his promise of keeping Sigma alive and accurately pushes him out on the floor. Atsushi runs to find someone to help him find the right answer, but the running seems more like an aimless one, especially since all the agency members are deeply trapped in a mess right now. Atsushi appears outside in the line of vision of Koda and Bram. Sigma worriedly paced, wondering what he should do as Dazai told him about something being up to him now. He wants to save Dazai, but runs away for his own life at the same time. He finds a paper stuck to his show that has a statement written in Russian. Atsushi spots Koda and tries to save her, but she shouts to inform him of this being a bait. A little too late for that, as vampire Akutagawa corners Atsushi. Atsushi dodges his attack, trying to make him recall reality. Upon failing, Atsushi fights back but notices he is not using his black cloth to protect himself and is instead using vampire regeneration ability, so his only option is to kill Akutagawa. But Atsushi would never do that. He tries to communicate with Akutagawa, questioning why he saved him. Having broken his leg, Dazai smiles at the camera, asking Fyodor to kill him to diminish the pain. Fyodor gladly agrees, but does not do so himself. He asks Dazai's former friend Shuya to do the honors. Sigma shoots at Fyodor's shoulder, making him fall. Pointing a gun at Fyodor, Sigma questions his abilities and reality. Fyodor smiles, pointing out how Dazai easily manipulated Sigma into wanting to be a detective agency member. Sigma pauses for a moment, but gets back on track. He figures if Dazai was manipulating him, then so is Fyodor against Dazai. Since Dazai happens to overpower Sigma in manipulation, Sigma wants to touch Fyodor and see his memories. Koda hears the intercom about the unlocking of one order in 5 minutes. She panics about the destruction of the world when Brahm throws another bad news at her that Fukuchi wielded the sword and ordered the vampires already. After blabbering around the two, Koda concludes that she's going to take out the sword no matter what it takes. Provided Brahm wants nothing to do with it all, he shouldn't mind the pain he is about to face. Sigma shows the paper to Fyodor, questioning if it belongs to him. Fyodor reads the Russian words, "Helmy," and something flashes before him, changing his whole persona. Fyodor grabs his head and starts screaming in pain and panic. Akutagawa keeps attacking Atsushi while he insistently tries to find the human trapped inside the vampire. He reminds Akutagawa that he didn't kill Koda because of the promise between them, but Akutagawa does not show any care and keeps attacking. Atsushi gets a clear aim for his head but stops centimeters before punching him. Akutagawa uses this chance to trap one leg and one arm of Atsushi in his black coat. Atsushi tries again, asking Akutagawa about his dream to become stronger. With one gesture, he pushes onto his arm and leg, literally tearing them off of his body. Fyodor screams, begging Sigma to help him against his ability after asking about the year. He shows signs of his ability being a split personality and the darker personality overpowering him and making him do evil things. He takes out a knife, asking Sigma to kill the evil part of him with this holy sword. Hesitating about it, Sigma extends his arm only for Fyodor to spin the knife and stab Sigma. A split personality seems to be an interesting lie for Fyodor. Now Fyodor extends his hand, allowing Sigma to read whatever he wants. Fukuchi finally receives the unlocked one order and uses it to order the destruction of the world. Bram tells Koda everything is over, but Koda won't let that happen. She runs around, bringing a 30-kilogram table ready to tie it to the sword and throw it off to take the sword out. Sigma cannot comprehend the huge torrent of life after holding Fyodor, questioning that being information. Dazai tries to talk to Shuya while Chuya prepares to attack him, but Fyodor sends a message for Shuya to shoot Dazai so he doesn't manipulate Chuya out of his vampire state. After shooting his shoulder, Chuya points a gun at Dazai's head. Dazai takes the last chance to ask Shuya to wake up as their fates can't be connected this way, but his conversation is cut short by a headshot. Fukuchi orders the nuclear attack on the world. Koda pushes the table only for it to hang in midair but not take out the sword. But the only false successful seems to be the detective agency's fate. Koda tries her luck by throwing the huge table off the height in hopes of taking the sword out of Bram's body, but much to her shock, the table hung midair with the sword holding its weight. On the other hand, the world is on the brink of ending, and even Atsushi is in the hands of Akutagawa to get bitten. Bram tells her that she did the best she could, and it wasn't the lack of determination, but only the lack of a little more weight to get the sword out. Hearing this, Koda smiles at him, telling him she will not give up on saving the world this easily, and jumps down towards the table to increase its weight. The added load works out. The sword comes out, and Koda falls. Fukuzawa wakes up as Fukuchi orders the attack. Using the opening, Fukuzawa uses his dagger to cut Fukuchi's back. Fukuchi turns to him knowing Fukuzawa would try something like that and stabs him with his amino gozen. Fukuzawa didn't mean Fukuchi not facing him by there being an opening, but the fact that the only way to defeat Fukuchi is if he lets go of his sword. As the sword goes through Fukuzawa's body, he swats Fukuchi's hand from the sword. That's not the only bait he set for Fukuchi. Fukuchi destroyed the dagger that Fukuzawa was aiming for, or what he thought Fukuzawa was aiming for, but Fukuzawa bent down and swung his body, having Fukuchi's sword coming out of his body to cut through Fukuchi's neck. Fukuzawa then wastes no time grabbing the controller and asking all units to immediately retreat their attack. Fyodor walks out, happy and proud of finally defeating Dazai. Nikolai is enthusiastic, but Fyodor tells him to cut the chase and give him the antidote. Nikolai asks how he was communicating outside. Fyodor shows him that some of the guards are vampires. Fyodor takes the briefcase of antidote to take it in the helicopter, but notices his injured hand. He likes that Dazai managed to injure him even though that injury cost Dazai his life. This enemy was worth this much for Fyodor. Fyodor asks one of his vampire subordinates to control the helicopter due to his injured hand. Fyodor tells Nikolai that Sigma is dead, and his next target is Nikolai. This excites Nikolai, who is interested in this new game, but before anything else, the briefcase falls out, followed by a heavy amount of blood. Fyodor has been stabbed by his vampire, and Dazai walks out, reminding Fyodor that he can't just kill him. Koda wakes up in the hold of Akutagawa, who was ordered by Bram there. Bram descends with his full body intact. He tells Koda that he was saved by her selfless efforts, so even though he is a lord and a count, at this moment, he is going to be her knight. Rampo wakes an unconscious Atsushi by blocking his nose from breathing. Rampo falls back after telling Atsushi they've been saved. Dazai tells Fyodor he knew he'd not trust anyone other than the vampires he could manipulate, but Bram was saved, and Rampo negotiated with him to order this vampire to drive the helicopter to attack him. This wasn't a certain plan, but Dazai figured Rampo would do this once Bram was saved. Fyodor questions him being shot in the head. Dazai tells him that the shot hurt because the mean friend of his wasn't supposed to hit it that hard. On cue, Chuya walks out. Chuya, who was never a vampire but only pretended to be one. Fukuchi tries approaching the sword as Fukuzawa is ordering the ceasing of attack, so he uses his most flawless attack ever to cut Fuchi, an attack so flawless that there was no stopping midway, but that's exactly what the mistake was. Before the sword could hit Fukuchi, Fukuzawa noticed his expressions and got a glimpse of reality being much different than he expected. As Fukuchi is struck, Poe's notebook falls from his hand. As Chuya tries to take his tightly glued fake teeth out, Dazai picks up the briefcase telling Fyodor his real goal was to injure Fyodor's hand so a vampire could take the cockpit, while Chuya was helping him all the while. The headshots while Chuya controlled the bullet were something they used to do all the time, so it was no big deal. With that, the vampire takes the helicopter, crashing it into a wall, making it fall and explode. Fukuchi and Fukuzawa are in Poe's novel space-watching their memories. When Fukuzawa shares that today, a resolution will be signed by the UN Security Council to avoid an incident like today's ever happening again. Fukuzawa understands that Fukuchi intended to rid the world of war and not destroy it. Fukuchi finally reveals that one day he received a message from his sword, Amino Gozen, that a world war would break out in 36 years, causing the loss of 210 million lives. He asks what would have been done in such a scenario. Dazai picks up the blown-up arm of Fyodor, finally sure that he is dead. Nikolai seems conflicted about whether he is happy or sad about it. Fukuzawa tells Fukuchi that humanity can never be united, but Fukuchi did this all to terrorize all the states, so they become one against any such danger. If the military and humanity are united, war will automatically cease to exist. Fukuzawa reminds him that even if this happens, there will remain a dictatorship of one person over everyone. Fukuchi tells him this is the reason he chose Fukuzawa to order the cease of attack. He presents Fukuzawa, the Amino Gozen, asking him to cut down his head and take the position of the chief commander of the army of mankind and become the hero of the world. Fukuchi had decided to sacrifice the lives of less than 500 people to save 210 million. He asked Fukuzawa to choose between saving him or the detective agency. Fukuzawa takes hold of the Amino Gozen, bringing the two back to reality. Fukuzawa is about to behead Fukuchi, but recalls their memory of fulfilling the one wish if they ever can. Fukuchi had wished for world peace, while Fukuzawa had wished for saving the ones closest to him. So naturally, he couldn't kill Fukuchi. Fukuchi gets up, telling him he suspected that from Fukuzawa when a sword pierces through his chest from his back. It was Teruko who obeyed her leader with the biggest stone on her heart. Handing the sword to Fukuzawa, telling him to say he did it, she leaves as Fukuchi calls for his best friend to be there in his last moments. Teruko stops Atsushi from going up to them as Fukuchi takes his last breath with Fukuzawa, screaming in pain about losing his best friend. After a while, Rampo walks up to Fukuzawa to decide what happens to the One Order. Even though pained and frustrated, Fukuzawa just cannot destroy it. 2 hours later, Atsushi is about to get harmed by an unknown villain when Akutagawa saves him, telling him they both are going to end the story started by Fukuchi Uchi.